So in this next part, what we're going to do is take a look at some techniques for figuring out what theme function or template file is responsible for the output on the page. It's really hard to track down without a couple simple tools. So the first one I wanted to show you was called Theme Developer, and this is at drupal.org/project/devel_themer. And what this module does is overlay a nice user interface on top of the page and allows us to click on various elements of the page to discover what theme pre-processing functions, template files, and theme functions have led up to that particular output. One thing to note here is that this is in development version right now, which means that there are some bugs, and so there's a couple things that you won't be able to do through it, but it's still an invaluable tool for just the basic point of finding out who's responsible for the output. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and jump back to my Drupal site, and I'm going to look for Theme Developer on the page. Okay, here it is under the development section. Go ahead and enable it and scroll down to the bottom and click Save Configuration. Now what this has done is added this little box in the left-hand bottom corner that says Themer Info. And if we click that, it will display a box up to the right that says click on any element to see information about the Drupal theme function or template that created it. And that's exactly what it does. As we hover over various items, it creates a box around anything that was output through a template file or a theme function. And if we click it, it will display some important information up here. So let's go ahead and take a look at what it shows us. The first thing to look at is this function called bit right here. And this tells us what function was responsible for this output. And it's theme status messages. We can also see what called this theme. So outside of this, the page template file or theme function called it. And then outside of that, the HTML template file or theme function called that. So this is the process that it took in order to get to the output. First, it went through theme status messages, then page, and then HTML. Under candidate theme function names, this tells us what possible theme function names could have been called to produce this output. In this case, there's just one, but a theme function can define several possible function names that can be looked for in order to render the output. You'll see that more frequently with template files rather than function calls. This gives us a list of pre-processed functions. In this case, there are none, and process functions as well, and also gives us the length of time that it took to render this output. This last part will eventually show us the variables that get passed to this theme function, but because of a bug, it's not displaying the right values. So we'll have to take a look at those on a different level. Just for kicks, we can click on this page or HTML to see the data related to these template files or theme functions as well. So I'm going to go ahead and click page. Now let's take a look at this. Now we see template called instead of function called, and it's theme/7/page.tpl.php. So this is the template file in the 7 theme. We have candidate template files. Now for this, we have multiple possibilities. We could have pageadmin.tpl.php or pageadminmodules.tpl.php, but the final file that's being selected is the one that's mentioned here. And so it shows this level that can be used. It shows us the pre-processing functions that are used and indicates that they're all being used together with the plus sign, whereas you see here there's the greater than, which indicates that something is overriding something else rather than being added to it. So this is just a helpful tool to visualize it. And you see there's several pre-processing functions that are being run. There's also a couple process functions too. And this also took a lot longer to run. Let's go ahead and click the HTML too and take a look at that. So we see here that we're using the module/system/html.php, so our theme isn't really being used at all for this. You see the possible template file suggestions that can be used, the set of pre-process functions, and the set of process functions as well.